Happy New Year, and thank you for joining us for The Drive Back, the movie podcast where we imitate our favorite thing to do after a movie, which of course is to talk about it on the ride home. I'm Garrett, and as always, I'm joined by my good friend and co-host Adrian.
Hey, I'm doing fantastic.
Awesome. And today, we're taking a look at a special kind of episode. This is our favorite kind of episode to do. We're doing our top 20 favorite things of 2021. The things that made the year better for us, the things that we really enjoyed doing, experiencing, going to, listening to, whatever it may be. Our top 20 favorite things that aren't movies. So all of this and more coming up on The Drive Back. Alrighty, and we're back here to discuss our top 20 favorite things of 2021. Our favorite TV shows, video games, movies, books, places, anything that made the year better. Adrian, Are you ready to dive in?
I'm ready. I'm ready swimming.
Man, we're in the deep end now. Let's try and get back to the start, or I guess, I don't know. That makes sense somewhere in my head. Anyhow, Adrian, we're going to go ahead and start it off at number 20. What was your number 20th favorite thing of 2021?
My number 20 favorite thing of 2021 was the show Loki.
Very nice.
I thought that was a very good TV show, so it made my list.
Awesome. Glad to hear it. It'll probably be on my list later. We'll find out. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm divvying up mine by kind of category of what they are. So first up, I'm talking about my places that I like to be in 2021. First off, first favorite place of 2021, my number 20, is movie theaters. The fact that they reopened. And, I was able to go back. That's when this all started feeling normal again. It's when the world started feeling like it was getting back to what it used to be. And Definitely. Quick shout out, thank you to all the movie theater crews that are out there. You guys are helping to run safe operations. You're keeping people safe, and you're getting us back to doing what we love to do. So,
Definitely.
Thank you to everyone out there. Number 19 for you, Adrian.
Number 19 is an album, or I picked a specific song, but actually, let me stick with TV shows. I'll do the same thing.
Okay.
The Friends reunion.
Alrighty.
Was a pretty big one. I thought that was a really cool moment for 2021. Really cool that they were able to get everyone back together, and that was just a fun little episode as well. So very cool.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I'm personally not a big fan of Friends, so I didn't have to check it out.
Have you seen it?
The show?
Yeah.
No.
Ah.
I've walked into my parents watching it. It's just not one of those things for me. I hate the sitcom style. So
yeah,
that's just
definitely
me.
Dated now. Yeah.
But my number 19 and the second place on my list was somewhere that I had never been before. And I got to go, quick shout out to actually friends of the show, Kevin, Nadia, and Stacy. We went to Halloween Horror Nights 2021 at Universal Studios Hollywood. Something I never thought I would ever go to, ever. I love watching the videos on YouTube. I love watching the maze walkthroughs. But I actually got to go and experience it this year. Texas Chainsaw Massacre is probably my favorite horror movie, mainstream horror movie that I've seen. They had the first movie as a maze. Absolutely incredible. And it was just so much fun. I mean, except for waiting in line for 40 minutes to get a $16 Jack and Coke. But
yeah, that
is what it is.
How it goes. Yeah.
Next up for you, Adrian, number 18.
Okay. Again, sticking with TV. On the Spectrum, Season 2. Love on the Spectrum came out. Okay. One of my favorite shows. It deals with people that have autism of all different levels finding love because it's very difficult. But it's a very, very good and well-balanced show that really shows what it's like, and being in close proximity to it, it's relatively accurate and really, really enjoyable to watch.
So is it like a documentary style, or is it like a narrative?
It's a documentary. Well, so they follow people's journey, but they basically, they'll set them up with, what do you like to do? And they have this person that comes that actually helps them. It's a dating coach or a love coach for autistic people that helps them, they'll draw out what they want, or they'll help them with okay, don't let the conversation die. If someone asks you a question, answer it, but then ask a question back. Like, don't just answer the question and then let the conversation stop. So they help them like learn how to converse and how to talk about things that are normal and like just fun and have a good time, and like, oh, it's okay to order a drink if you feel uncomfortable. Like, it's okay to talk about video games if you like video games. It's very, very cool and very heartwarming to watch.
Very cool. I didn't know it existed.
It's also very LGBTQ plus inclusive. There's many bisexual, gay, trans, just all kinds of people on the spectrum that are trying to find love.
That's awesome. What network is it on?
Netflix.
Okay, awesome. Well, if anyone out there is interested, definitely check it out.
2 seasons. Yeah, it's really, really good. And it's also, again, it's not like, it's funny, but it's not making fun of the disability. It's just funny in like a cute, heartwarming way that you just feel so loved for these people. Like, you just want to love them so much. And again, being close proximity in real life, it's a fantastic show.
Absolutely. Totally get you. That's awesome. Next up for me, which is going to be number 18, which is going to be the first video game that I'm going to talk about tonight. I'm going to transition to video games real quick. Was one that you and I have actually played, and 2 friends of the podcast, Cassidy and Griffin, who have been on the show before. And that would be Back 4 Blood, the pseudo-spiritual successor to Left 4 Dead. Unfortunately, we still have not finished it because it is a hard game, and we ended up getting really addicted to a game that's coming up later on this list.
Yeah.
But Back 4 Blood is an awesome game if you have the chance to play it. It's free with Xbox Game Pass on Xbox and PC. It is so much fun.
Very fun, yeah. It's a really, really fun game. Very balanced in the story progression. It's difficult. Not saying it's not, but it's really fun.
Absolutely. What's next for you?
So mine, I'm still sticking with TV. I got a lot of TV. I do have video game ones, but I'm going to go through kind of like what you did with the category. So my next one is Lost in Space Season 3.
That's a new release, yeah.
It came out like 3 days ago or something like that.
And you already finished it?
Yes, it was super good. The show itself is really good. The adaptation from the original IP is just fantastic, and seeing it with current visuals and more complex story is amazing. So Season 3 is excellent. If you haven't seen it and you're caught up, then definitely watch Season 3.
It's a show I really want to watch, and I just never had the drive to sit down and watch it. TV shows are very hard for me to usually sit through.
Which is so funny, because making this list, I realized that I watch way more TV than movies.
Crazy. I don't know how you find the time.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, with my blog, I watch like 1 movie a day, so I guess I can kind of understand.
And like Cassidy and I will like sit down and be like, oh, we have all these shows going. Which one should we watch? And we'll like kind of progress a bunch at the same time.
Absolutely. Yeah, I totally understand it. I know how people have love and care for TV shows. It's just like every once in a while I can get through 1 or 2 if I really need to. But I'll get to my TV shows a little bit later on. But sticking with video games, my next top item for 2021 was the video game Far Cry 6. I love the Far Cry series. I always have. I've played them since Far Cry 2. And always look forward to what the next location is. This one took place on a kind of fictional Cuba-like island.
Very Cuba-ish, yeah.
Features awesome character actor Giancarlo Esposito from The Mandalorian and from Breaking Bad playing the main villain. And he is absolutely terrifying and a true dictator in every sense of the word. It just makes it so much more fun to, destroy his forces and eventually, get to taking him out. But a lot of fun, and it was the first actual true next generation game I played because I got it I got my Series X right before it came out.
Yeah.
So it's the first game I played that was true next gen quality. So it was awesome.
Very cool.
But next up for you, Adrian.
Next up, sticking with movie, is In the Dark Season 3 came out. That is a fantastic show if you haven't heard of it. It is kind of a scenario where somebody gets murdered and someone gets wrapped up in the murder investigation and things go sideways. But the main character is blind and has a guide dog. So it adds that extra layer of complexity to kind of a generic trope of a show concept. So it makes it really, really interesting. Everyone I've recommended it to has binged watched it. My parents burned through it in like a weekend. My coworker has burned through the first 2 seasons. I told her about it like last week. Really, really good show. Season 3 is excellent as well.
Very interesting. I'll have to check it out. The thing I'm kind of noticing is that a lot of the TV shows that you're watching kind of features people who are characters or individuals who have something that makes them not a part of, like, I guess you could say, the normal crowd. So it's like Love on the Spectrum or In the Dark, the character being blind. Is that something that sticks out to you when you watch TV shows? Or
I think it's become relevant on the podcast as well, that I like when someone takes a generic concept and introduces a different ingredient. Mm-hmm. Like, I just find it really interesting. Like, I can follow along. I understand the plot of all these crime shows. Like, they're all very the same.
Yeah.
When you introduce something that actually changes the narrative, like somebody not being able to see someone standing in the same room as them, very, very interesting scenarios can take place, and circumstances that end up happening are very crazy, like having to pretend that you're not blind when she loses her guide dog, or losing your guide dog in the middle of a forest by yourself. How do you get out?
Yeah.
Just all those things are really, really interesting.
And I would like to clarify real quick that when I say that was like not a part of the norm, I'm not saying that people who have any of these, things are not normal, and don't take that the wrong way. I mean, like, I guess like encouraging diversity is more like what I was trying to get at. So please don't cancel me for any.
And they also, in the Dark, the first 2 seasons have a little girl in it who is actually blind and with a bunch of different disabilities, like a couple of them. And she actually is a star, like for 2 seasons, is a main character.
Very cool.
Yeah.
It's In the Dark?
Yeah, In the Dark.
And which was the platform for that?
Netflix.
Netflix guy over here. You sure you don't work for him?
Yeah.
Continuing,
I turn around and, like Voldemort, I have Netflix on the back of my head, a little face.
Get the viewers! Next up, sticking with the video game still, quick shout out to Griffin again, friend of the show. We've been playing a lot of this. Adrian, I don't think you've had the chance to play it yet. Forza Horizon 5, which is...
I played the first level.
There we go. I stand corrected. The highest rated video game of the year, critically, which is incredible and really sad that it got snubbed for a Game of the Year award nomination, which is stupid. But super fun. I love kind of the idea of collecting all these cars and getting able to drive them and design them. And, while the map isn't necessarily the biggest in the game's history, it is one of the most detailed, one of the most kind of diverse. They've added sandstorms and the highest peak they've ever had, the volcano, which is the highest point in any Horizon 5 or Horizon game ever. So absolutely fun. And a killer soundtrack as always. So what's next for you, Adrian? Another TV show, I'm guessing.
Yes, I have a few. So the next one is You, Season 3.
Nice.
You is a fantastic show for anybody that's not watching it. It is 100% worth it. Super, super fascinating show. And yeah, Season 3 is no joke. It gets pretty crazy.
Very interesting. I hear you guys talking about it all the time.
Yeah, so, it's really, really good.
And that's also on Netflix as well?
Yeah.
Again, the voice in the back of your head.
I will branch out in the next few, but
well, I mean, to be fair, you did say Loki, so
my first one was not Netflix. That is true.
So, alrighty, I have 3 more games to talk about. Next up is one that I'm still in the middle of playing, so I can't put it like higher on a list if I had any kind of tier system. But is the one that we have been playing every single night for the last almost the last 2 weeks, I would say. And that's Halo Infinite.
Yep, same
343, thank you for making a great Halo game. Finally.
I'll cross it off my list as well. Yeah, that is one of my games. It is a super fun game.
Super fun. I have never been good at Halo multiplayer. I've never enjoyed it. Since Halo Reach, at least. Now I love it. And playing with the 3 of you guys is just absolutely fun. Cassidy and Griffin again. Quick shout-outs. The squad, man. We got it on lock. Yeah. And the campaign is fantastic so far. And I know you haven't had the opportunity to play the campaign yet, but there is the new AI character who's called the Weapon. She is the most adorable, precious thing on this planet, and I want to just like keep her safe because she's so optimistic and funny compared to Cortana, who is like snarky and intelligent. It's just such a different character, and she's just.
And I feel like they probably played that pretty safe by not trying to replicate Cortana. They were like, let's just go the other direction.
There are a couple things I won't spoil for you.
Yeah,
but you'll find those out on your own. But also by proximity, I want to shout out because I just started it, and it's very short. There is a Halo Infinite podcast called Memory Agent on Spotify. It's 6 episodes. It's less than an hour for the whole entire thing. It really builds up again the kind of legend of Master Chief, the character, and just some really decent voice acting as well. So if you're interested at all, definitely check it out. But
Very cool.
moving right along, Adrian, your next pick.
My next one is TV, but it is actually something that is on TV, and overall it is SNL this season. But specifically, the group Do Not Destroy. They're the new like digital short kind of group.
Okay.
Kind of like the new Lonely Island, like three guys that started as a sketch comedy group on YouTube, moved to TikTok, and now are picked up by SNL. And every single video they've put out makes me laugh harder than I've laughed at SNL in a long time. And it's just so good. So I have to give them a shout out for sure. They've definitely been a highlight.
You have shown me several other videos, and I would say it's one of the funniest things that SNL's put out in a very long time.
The hard seltzer one, where
Is that desk flavored hard seltzer?
am I awake?
It's great because they got to put something on that show to make it funny. So
Well, and they finally brought on someone that's the current humor.
yeah,
They actually have a group of people that haven't been there for 10 years that are actually doing things now that are funny.
and people that aren't reading off a cue card the entire time.
Yeah, very much needed. Very much needed.
But moving right along, the next game I have, this is going to be my last one before what I would consider to be my game of the year. So this last one is not a game that came out this year. It has been out for quite some time. It's not even really a game. You have played alongside with me, and that is VR Chat. This social chat room kind of thing. It's basically Ready Player One if it was all just social rooms and not actual, like, there are actual games you can play. But I mean, you can see behind me right here, I have my VR headset, which makes it even better to experience everything going on in VR. And a quick shout out to Dodybug and to Sleeping Forest, two friends that I have made through VR Chat that are in other parts of the country where we've had so much fun. We've ended up playing D&D together, all because we met in virtual space like this.
Yeah, they're awesome.
And,
they're super fun. So great shout out.
Super awesome way to experience things that people have made and avatars people have made, and just to get to talk to a lot of really cool people, unless there's a lot of people trying to crash your server and make racist slurs and all that kind of stuff. But hey, you take the good with the bad. But next up for you, Adrian.
This is my last TV, so big step here.
Ooh.
My last TV is Squid Game. Yes, I understand there was a lot of hype around it, and there's like a bunch of critiques about it as well. It was a good show, and I stick to it. It was an awesome foray for a foreign country to enter the movie space in such a powerful way. So I just think it was absolutely incredible. It was groundbreaking and super interesting, and it sparked an entire kind of cultural meme revolution. Mr. Beast did a video replicating it where he gave away $500,000 to someone. I mean, just a huge impact. So definitely the top of my TV list for the year.
Awesome. It's a show that I still have not finished. So
yeah. I just don't think TV's for you.
We'll get to my TV list. I have a lot of TV shows this year, actually. So, and
I bet I can guess 4 of them.
Well, we'll find out.
Yeah.
But before that, I have my last video game that I want to talk about for this year. It is my game of the year. The game that I put probably the most amount of time in multiple one sitting sessions into, and it is quite possibly the single most satisfying game I have ever played, and that is Power Wash Simulator on PC. This small indie studio made a game about you using a water pressure washer to clean stuff, and it is satisfying. It's got simulator elements of buying the things that you need to do what you need to do. The graphics are really good, actually. I've never played any of the simulator games, but I could not stop raving about this game.
Yeah, it's super fun.
It's therapeutic.
I played it on my phone for the mobile version, but even that was extremely therapeutic.
Oh man, it is just I can just feel the dirt and grime as it cuts away, and you're just like, it's clean. So it's indescribable how amazing it is.
That's awesome.
But moving right along, Adrian, what are you jumping out of? You're out of TV now.
I'm out of TV. This is my variety category.
Oh.
So this is going to be like things that happened on YouTube, things that kind of just are like I guess, a little random, but that I still think were really, really impactful.
Mm-hmm.
And one is this current season of Hot Ones.
Okay.
It just ended with Tom Holland doing the challenge, and it was probably one of the best episodes in a long time, up there with Shia LaBeouf and Paul Rudd. He eats the first wing, and he goes, "Ooh, a little bit of a kick to that." And Sean Evans goes, "Oh no!" like if you think that's spicy, and you could just Tom Holland really is like a down to earth guy, and the episode is so fun, and the whole season's been great, and it's something I look forward to every single week. That I hop on and there's a new episode, and super, super fun.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, Hot Ones is one of those shows that you can just kind of put on as something safe to watch. Just that it's funny and
it's like an hour long. Yeah, it's like an hour. You put it on. I'll do it while I'm working, and then like if a conversation happens, because it's broken up right into 10 sections, 10 wings, 10 questions. So if a question happens that I'm interested in, I can take 2 minutes, watch that, and then jump back to work.
I'm going to put a quick suggestion out there, and Sean Evans, if you're listening to this, you're probably not. If you are, hire me. Hire me after I tell you this. You should be the new late night talk show host of any major network. You do Hot Ones as a show. You get bigger and bigger celebrities to come on, and you have smaller celebrities on too, like you do have. And you also make it about charity. The star puts something on the line, and if they make it all the way to the end, it's a certain amount raised for charity. If they make it all the way through, if they have to butt out because it's too hot, money is still raised for charity. Do something.
I also think that he and his team are some of the best researchers of the guests. Like every single episode, the guest goes, "Wow, that's a great question. I've never been asked that before."
There's a whole compilation of people asking, "How did you know that?"
Yeah, like he's just got, and I think watching that on a late night show would definitely be super, super interesting. But I also think he's got something perfect with Hot Ones. Mm-hmm. It's also one of those things like, keep it going. Like it's not tired at all. Nobody's tired of it after 16 seasons. It's perfect.
It's totally the safe thing to throw on if you can't find something to watch on YouTube. It's fantastic.
So. And the Tom Holland one is great. If anyone wants to go listen to it, it is fantastic.
And then under the duress of Hot Wings, hopefully he can not divulge any spoilers for.
Well, like Wing 3, he goes, "Wow, I get why you do the show. I'd be truthful if you asked me anything."
Nice. But moving right along, I have my one and only, I guess, kind of a variety pick as well, but I'm going to say a podcast. Actually, it's very rare that I listen to podcasts. And we have our own. I mean, I'm not going to be egotistical and say I listen to my own. But I did discover a podcast this year. It started in 2020, so it's not really from 2021, but I started listening to it this year. And that is the podcast called The Cream Crew, which is the animators from the YouTube channel Flashgits, Don and Tom, and the gentleman named Hunter, who is also known for the Meat Canyon YouTube channel. 3 animators who just do out there incredibly insane animations sometimes, just shooting the shit, talking about whatever comes up. Usually it's about porn and all sorts of weird things, and it's just like driving to work. I don't think I've ever laughed so hard in my own car alone driving to work. But it is absolutely hilarious. It's not for the faint of heart, though. I would say if you're kind of sensitive to, topics and things like that, I wouldn't listen to it. But it is a lot of fun. And Dom, Tom, and Hunter are just 3 incredibly funny individuals. So I totally enjoy listening to it.
Awesome.
But next up, Adrian.
Next up for me is still within my variety, but I will just also jump to my podcast.
Awesome.
The Adventure Zone started their 4th campaign. It is a D&D story-driven podcast. And they just started their 4th season of Ethersea, or 4th campaign. Consistently phenomenal. It's one of my favorite things besides like Dynamic Banter, some of my other podcasts, to listen to because it drops once a week, and it's like exactly the length of my drive to work. So I literally play it, and it fills that entire time, and I get like to progress in a story. Kind of feels like I'm playing a game, like a video game. Like I'm moving forward in this story-driven podcast. I might imagine it's a lot like people that watch Critical Role. Like you follow along and it progresses and you listen and everything. But yeah, so the new campaign is amazing. So that's on my list for my podcast.
Awesome choice. Moving along, I think I'm going to jump into music. I'm going to leave TV for last. So music this year was huge for me. There were a lot of albums that came out, a lot of artists that released singles. And there was a lot of good songs, but I feel like albums were really more prevalent for me this year over actual just individual songs. You can check out, I'll actually have a 2021 best of blog post that I'll be doing that'll have individual songs and stuff on it too. But we're going to go ahead and jump right into one of my favorite bands that released an album this year, one of the highlights of their career so far, and that would be the album Fortitude by Gojira, which is a French metal band who has made probably their most accessible to non-metal fan type albums I've ever heard. This is an album I could easily recommend to anyone who does not listen to, harder heavy metal music. And they would actually really enjoy it. It has very good ecological and kind of environmental messages. It's also going with the idea of fortitude, like building yourself up, kind of more positive messaging more than anything else. The one song I would probably recommend off of the album would be "Born for One Thing," which is the first track on the album. It is very technical and very fun to listen to. So
interesting. Okay, I'll have to check it out.
Next up, Adrian, what do you got?
My last one is my last variety one, but it is PewDiePie's Hardcore Minecraft series.
All right.
I have been a dedicated follower. It did start in 2020, but I discovered it a little bit late. But it has provided me, every time there's an installment of it, it's not consistent. It's very infrequent when he returns. But every time he does, it is incredible content that always makes me laugh. And is super entertaining from beginning to end. And yeah, so definitely that's my top variety pick.
Awesome. It's a great show. And like PewDiePie, again, like you always say, what did he do for Minecraft?
He brought it back to life, baby. He literally is single-handedly responsible for the renaissance of Minecraft being in today's culture.
Oh, yeah. Easily. I mean, it was popular when it came out. It's been popular for years, but then he made it even more.
Well, he played it when it came out, but then it like completely was dead. No one was talking about it, and he just decided, I'm going to play a hardcore mode. And literally, it is back in the zeitgeist as like a common game.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what happens when you have 110 million people following you.
Oh, easily. Like, yeah, you make anything you touch popular.
Yeah, literally, he could show like a new. If he's like, "Oh, I only use Bic pens," people would be like, "I have to use Bic pens."
And it's good when he's like one of the few people out there who used the gamer word once or twice, and he's not gone.
He's not gone. He's changed his content a lot, but he's also one of the most real human beings for being that famous. He is just so down to earth, and he speaks about controversies. He does not shy away from anything. Mm-hmm. Like, he's just who he is, and he's like, yeah, I don't care about the money. He's like, it's fine. I just want to make what I make because it's my hobby. He considers himself retired.
Yeah.
He just makes videos when he wants, and literally millions of people are still, like, on the pulse, like, I gotta watch it now.
Yeah. With the money he makes, he could just be sitting pretty for the rest of his life. So, he's good to go.
Yeah.
But, next up, for my next album of the year, a surprise pick. I mean, we've talked about this before, Adrian. Anyone who's listening, if you listen to me, my pick last year, there was a surprise pick on there genre-wise. Anyhow, my next album pick for the year is If I Can't Have Love, I Want Power by Halsey, which, if anyone who knows me is probably freaking out that I said something that wasn't metal music. But I love Halsey. I think she has an incredible voice, whether it's on her solo stuff, whenever she features, it's fantastic. And the fact that she is a huge fan of Nine Inch Nails and got Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross to produce the album with her, making it a completely different sound, is just incredible. And I hope that whatever her next project is with them as well. And if Nine Inch Nails makes their new album, that she is on it.
Oh, I'm sure she will be. I feel like collaborated.
Hope. Yeah. That would be like my most like anticipated song ever, is if the two of them are together. But absolutely incredible. I mean, the album has to do with being a mother, the perils, but also the beauty of it. It is just a fantastic album. I think the song that I would have to recommend off of it, I think it's called "The Bells of Santa Fe." I believe it's been a while since I've listened to it, to be fair, but just awesome album. It was the song that they used to like tease that the album was coming. So, but Adrian, moving right along, we're going to out of variety. What's next for category for you?
So I'm going to kind of join up here with you on music before I get to games and such. My I guess this is like, they're not really tiered, but my last pick for top albums / songs of the year is the album Survivor's Guilt, the mixtape by Kenny Hoopla. Then specifically the song Estella and Hollywood Sucks. He is single-handedly, maybe not single-handedly, but he is definitely reviving pop punk. Travis Barker did the drums and produced the album. And Travis Barker, I guess, is the person single-handedly bringing back punk rock with Machine Gun Kelly and Jaden. But this album was absolutely incredible. I heard Estella, and he wasn't famous yet. I sent it to my friend Joey, and I said, just putting a placeholder here that this guy's going to get famous because this song is just so dang good. And now he's like touring with Machine Gun Kelly and Travis Barker and like totally blown up. So very, very cool. Very proud of him. And definitely on the list for sure.
Awesome. I've never heard of him, so
I feel like I've played this. I think in our group chat, I've sent to Griffin a couple of his songs that he's really liked.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, they're very, very good. Yeah.
Next up for me, second to last, this would be probably my favorite album of the year. And there's a difference I'll make with the next one. But this is my favorite album of the year, and that would be the album Eternal Blue by Spiritbox, which is quite possibly the best band to enter the metal scene in a very long time. Led by Courtney LaPlante, who is an incredible vocalist. She can sing and she can scream. The woman has some pipes. Absolutely gorgeous, music. It's got the heavier aspects of metal, but it's also got some electronic in there at some points. There's a more of a poppy song, like something you would hear on, any kind of pop radio station, like We Live in a Strange World, I believe is the name of the title. I don't know off the top of my head. Just absolutely incredible album. This is similar to Fortitude by Gojira. Anyone who doesn't listen to metal music, I will have you listen to this album. Like Adrian, I know you're not the biggest fan of metal music. You would really like this album. I feel like you would really latch onto it. As far as a song that I would recommend from it would probably be Secret Garden, which doesn't have any kind of screaming or kind of heavier stuff in it. Just an absolutely beautiful hard rock track, I would say. So, favorite album of the year, Eternal Blue by Spiritbox.
Awesome. My next one is, just because of how impactful it was in the world, is Olivia Rodrigo's Sour album. She is a very new artist that has totally blown up. Taylor Swift has called her the next Taylor Swift.
That's egotistical.
I mean, to be fair, Taylor Swift is Taylor Swift. But it's an incredible album from beginning to end. I don't think there's a miss on there. They're all bangers. Listen to them still since they came out, and it's amazing. I think she had, like, on that album of, let's say 10 songs, I think like 6 of them were Billboard #1s in the same year. Like, just an absolutely insane run for her. And an incredible album. So, congratulations.
Awesome. She has one song that I have heard a lot on the radio, like especially at my work, because there's like a radio station that'll play. I think it's like ID or something, Driver's License or something.
Driver's License was her first one, yeah. The very slow one. It's a slow kind of ballad song.
Gotcha. Okay. That's the only song I know of that she's done. So
they're all bangers. It's a great album.
Gotcha. All right.
She just actually got on NPR Tiny Desk, which if you haven't been watching NPR Tiny Desk, that's also a great series.
It's called Tiny Desk. It already has my interest.
It's literally people it's the whole band fit into a very small desk or an office space, and they perform like acoustically or like very intimately their songs for like 5 people. Oh. It's like and for Olivia Rodrigo, she did it in a DMV.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
That's funny. Well, moving right along, my last album pick of the year, and I would, as I said, Spiritbox's album was my favorite album of the year. This is my favorite EP of the year. An EP is usually is a shorter
extended
album.
Play, yeah.
Yeah, so it has 3 songs on it. And it's probably the harshest in terms of how heavy it goes album that I've mentioned today, and that would be the EP "And I Return to Nothingness" by Lorna Shore.
Sounds heavy.
An incredibly heavy album where the last singer was kicked from the band because of being accused of grooming minors. So the yeah, so the and he's fighting it, which shows guilt. But their backup singer for when they had live performances just took over. His name is Will Ramos, and the man makes inhuman goblin screeching noises that do not seem physically possible for a human to make.
Whoa!
Which,
okay.
if that's turning you off, I understand. But absolutely just incredible. The lead single from the album was called "To the Hellfire," which for a metalcore, deathcore album or song is up to 5.7 million views on YouTube in 5 months. Like,
wow,
that's
not
incredible.
bad. Yeah.
It's already like in the top 30 highest viewed metal song or like deathcore songs of all time. But they're like, it's technically brilliant. There's orchestral elements laid into these absolutely just these breakdowns that will hammer your face into the ground with how heavy they are. And it's just so much fun. I think I sent this to our friend Griffin while he was at the gym, and I was like, listen to this album and you're going to gain like 3 pounds of muscle right now.
Just from working out so hard.
Or just from density of how heavy the music is. But absolutely incredible. The song I would recommend is actually not that lead single. I would probably recommend a song called Of the Abyss, which is a little bit heavier in my opinion. But all 3 songs are just absolutely like masterpiece level metal songs for this year.
Awesome.
But moving right along, Adrian.
Very cool.
What's next for music for you?
My next one is actually the original of the one I talked about last, is Taylor Swift's Red album, Taylor's version.
The re-release, right?
Yeah, her whole thing of remastering her songs so that she actually owns it is a power move in and of itself. And during COVID, while some of us barely made it by, she released 4 Grammy-nominated and winning albums during quarantine. So she just in herself should be on the list because she is absolutely an incredible powerhouse of a person and extremely talented. And specifically the song in there, All Too Well, the 10-minute version, it broke the record for being the longest song to place #1 on Billboard's Hot 100. Wow. It beat out American Pie, which is, I think, 7 minutes or 8 minutes by 2 full minutes. And it is an incredible song. And if you like the original, the 10-minute one is very much worth it. And it doesn't even feel like 10 minutes. But very, very good album. Cassie and I have been listening to it on repeat. So extremely desired. And glad it's on the list.
Awesome. Well, good conclusion. Now it's time for me to jump to TV. Thought I would leave TV for last this time because it's the closest thing we have to movies. Like, shows are turning into essentially longer format movies now. But I'm going to start it off with 2 things that aren't necessarily shows, but I consider them to be TV. Which the first one up I want to talk about, and I don't know if you included this on your list or not. If you did, we'll scratch it off right now. And that is Bo Burnham's Inside.
I didn't. I considered it a movie.
Okay, that's fair. I would say it's more like a comedy special, Netflix special. So like I kind of place it either way. It will be showing up. Yeah. It'll be showing up on the Drive Back Awards. So yeah, it's in both places.
No, it's absolutely. It's a shame it got snuffed for a bunch of awards.
Well, it's getting the Grammy nods now, so that's what's important.
Yeah, but it still is a bummer. It literally got snuffed for a ton of things.
And the Emmys too, it got snuffed. Yeah. But just absolutely. At points, it's hysterical. At other points, it's heartbreaking. It is really kind of a peek into what we went through during quarantine, and just the mental state that a lot of people were going through of why do I even bother? I haven't showered in like 30 days or whatever. Just incredible. And the song All Eyes on Me is incredible. And I had that like hour version of it looped, like playing for weeks.
Oh, it's an incredible song. It just the kind of the main drop of it is absolutely ethereal, to be honest.
Oh yeah.
It's incredible. If you haven't heard All Eyes on Me, the breakdown at the chorus is simply something that is amazing.
Yes. And there's actually a version on YouTube that has been pitched up. So it sounds like Bo's normal voice.
Yeah.
And when he yells at the part of the drop, it's so much more heartbreaking.
Yeah, because it's just him.
It's crazy. Yeah. But Adrian, are you done with music? Or are you moving on, or is this still music?
I have one more.
Okay.
This was my #1 listen to. I am in the top 1% of fans for this band. They released a album called Take the Sadness Out of Saturday Night. Mm-hmm. And that is The Bleachers. That is probably one of my favorite bands of all time. And this album is simply incredible. I bought it on vinyl. It is a clear seafoam sea glass color, and it is absolutely incredible.
Interesting. Didn't Angels and Airwaves put out an album this year?
Yes, it's not on the list.
Really?
Yeah, I do not like it at all.
Okay, well, that answers my question.
No, I like one song on it, and that is not enough for me to put an entire album. And yeah, I didn't even. They toured, and I usually go to all their tours, and I didn't go. I didn't find the album good.
All right, fair
But
enough.
The Bleachers is absolutely incredible. They have a song with Bruce Springsteen. It is just a very kind of a magical song where multiple songs on the album, they got like halfway through, and they were so good that I had to restart them because I was like, "Is this real? Like, am I really listening to this song?" So I had like literally extended them as much as possible, and yeah, they've been on repeat for the entire year since it came out. So definitely my favorite album / band of the year.
Awesome. Well, a good addition. Moving right along. Then the next pick, again, technically it's in the TV category, even though it's not strictly a TV show. And similar to one of Adrian's earlier picks in terms of what it actually is Critical Role's Campaign 3, which the video version is the way to watch it. The podcast.
Yeah, I'd argue that's definitely more of a TV show than a podcast or a song or anything.
Especially now that they have so much more production put into it with a new set. It is much more of a TV show. If you're not familiar with what Critical Role is, it's a D&D show similar to the Adventure Zone, which Adrian listens to.
They're like the big two, I think.
They are the big two. I would say Critical Role is the bigger one.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I'd agree.
It's the highest earning Twitch stream ever.
Yeah.
So there is that. But like they're both incredible what they do. They're both very different. One's smaller in terms of players. Critical Role is bigger. It's got 7 voice actors playing these fully fleshed out characters with incredible and sometimes hilarious stories going on. And it gets incredibly emotional. It's very, very fun to watch. And seeing it out, I always love watching the beginning because when they're just finding their footing with the characters and introducing them, the fact that there is a small robot called Fresh Cut Grass is
That's his name.
That's his name.
Fresh Cut Grass is the character's name.
It is incredible. Sam Riegel, you're a genius. But the show is responsible for helping to get me into D&D and sharing the passion with people like Adrian. So I always credit it for that. And it's a lot of fun to watch. And this season, more than ever, I would say this season's a lot easier for people to start getting into it. It's still long form, but it's easier to understand.
And they're also taking breaks. They're shortening their release so they only release like every 3 weeks, I think, is what they said.
Well, they release 3 weeks out of the month. The last Thursday.
So now they give everyone so that everyone can catch up because each episode is a staggering
4 hours.
Yeah, it's crazy. That's the only reason I haven't is because the commitment to Critical Role is crazy. Whereas like the Adventure Zone, what I listen to, is about an hour, and I listen to it on the way to work, so it's much easier to digest. But both incredible. Yeah, they're both the big two. You're gonna get a great thing no matter which one you decide to listen to.
Absolutely. Adrian,
I am now entering games.
Alrighty, this is the last section.
This is the last section of my list.
Alrighty.
My first one is Pikmin Bloom. It is the Pokemon Go variant for Pikmin, where I get to raise little Pikmin in my pocket and send them on expeditions to fight mushrooms and toads. So I have been playing it. I am extremely high level for how recently the game came out. I have collected Pikmin from all over the nation, and it is a great way to pass the time because it works while it's in your pocket. It counts your steps, so you can play when you're not playing and just check in on it every other day or so. And the other really cool thing they did is at the end of every day, it gives you a quick recap, and it lets you write in a little Pikmin diary very quickly about how your day was. So eventually you can actually look back and track your mood and how you've been feeling or things you did on certain days. So very, very fun.
Awesome. It's kind of like the next Pokemon Go, or similar in that kind of style, right?
Well, that's what I said in the beginning. Yeah, it's the same creators. It's Niantic and...
Oh, it's Niantic.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's much simpler, though. Like, I would say it's less of a game than it is like a fitness tracker. Or like something to make fitness more fun. There's not like as much to do yet. It just came out. But very, very fun.
Gotcha. There was one that came out this year based on The Witcher, which was also a lot of fun to play. But it was much more like Pokemon. It was more of a game and less about like walking.
And the only unfortunate thing is they tried to do that with Harry Potter as well. They tried to make one. But it's
and a
because
Jurassic World one too.
But it's because you can only play one of those games at a time. So people were already so invested in Pokemon Go. It's like, if I'm going to play this, I'm just going to play the one I'm already level 30 in. Yeah. Like, I don't want to have to restart. So that was just a tough branch of a very niche game.
Totally makes sense.
Pikmin Bloom definitely works alongside Pokemon Go. I play both very actively. So very, very worth downloading just to kind of fill the time and collect Pikmin.
Absolutely. A great choice. Next up for me, we're getting into actual TV shows now. And I'm going to start off with one that Adrian already said earlier, which is Loki, season 1, which I had to go back and forth on this because I only wanted to put one of the Marvel shows on here, and I went back and forth between this and WandaVision. Because they both dealt with some like pretty weighty topics, but Loki just felt the most focused. It was shorter than the others, and it was just fantastic. Tom Hiddleston, I can't wait to see him back in season 2. Sophia DiMartino as Sylvie was a great choice as well, and freaking He Who Remains. I'm blanking on the actor's name right now, and it's killing me. But he's playing also Kang. Was awesome. The show is the best of the Marvel shows this year, and I feel like that's doing it injustice because. I know I kind of have the unpopular opinion here where I thought all the Marvel shows this year were very, I would say, really good. Not very good or excellent. I would say they were all really good, if not, and then up. Except for What If. What If was a little bit of a disappointment for most of it. But I enjoyed them all. Still watching Hawkeye right now, so I can't even consider it for the list because it's not done yet. And it is the only Disney Plus show on this list, so I will also mention that Book of Boba Fett hasn't even started yet at the time of recording this.
Yeah.
And it's starting on December 29th, so I'm going to consider it a 2022 show.
Yeah, I'd agree.
So, but yeah, Loki, we already talked about it. Awesome show. So
Awesome show. My next one is a video game still, and it is Destiny 2, but specifically the 30th anniversary campaign that has released. It came out a couple days ago. It is an absolute blast. I've gotten to play like an hour of it. Unfortunately, I just don't have a crazy amount of time, and when I do play, I play with friends on other games. But it is so cool. They're bringing back a ton of original content, and Bungie, the developer, has actually listened to the feedback from its gamers. They've implemented a ton of things to make the game more approachable. And way less of a steep end game curve. So it's probably the most accessible Destiny 2 has ever been, and the most fun it's ever been, with a lot of new content introduced like every couple months. So very big props to them on releasing that, and it's been super fun.
Yeah, I've played Destiny off and off for a very long time. I don't have it currently installed, so I can't really check out the 30th anniversary. Fun to play with people, but it's kind of one of those things that since I kind of play it off and on, I do get behind very easily. And I feel like it is. I don't like to grind, and I think that's the big problem too. So I don't like replaying the same things and all that.
Well, and see, I'm the complete opposite. Like right now, I didn't play Destiny for probably like 3 months before this came out, because the way that I like to play Destiny is to start behind, because then all the content is there. I can finish the campaign in one go. I can level up all the way in that one section, like in my time playing. There is no time gating, which Bungie is notorious for time gating their content, which is a big bummer. Yeah. But that's why I like the race, and it always seems like when I catch up or when I reach max level, that's when my interest falls off. I like the chase, so
gotcha.
Kind of the opposite.
Yeah, the exact opposite. All right, moving right along. After this is my number 4. We're down to the single digits. We haven't really been keeping track. My number 4 though is. I'm going to go ahead and say it right now. I don't typically like live-action comedy shows. Things like Friends, things like that. I just do not like them. I don't find them funny. I have found probably the only live-action show this year that made me laugh out loud by myself, which is not common. And
I think I forgot about this show.
And this is hysterical laughter, not just like no, it's like I'm like crying, laughing some of the times. And that is the third season just started this year, but it is older. And that would be the show What We Do in the Shadows. It is so funny. It takes the formula of The Office. I'm going to be very controversial here. I don't like The Office. And takes that formula of that workplace comedy and makes it about vampires living in Brooklyn. Or Staten Island, excuse me, and it is just hilarious. Maybe it's the fantasy aspect as opposed to like the normal everyday aspect, but the fact like when they're at the grocery store and he's like, "Ooh, creepy paper," and he's like, "No, that's crepe paper," and he's like, "Oh, very creepy." It's just absolutely hysterical, and it's all done like in camera, so people are floating obviously on wires if they fly, and you can tell. It's so much fun to watch, and it doesn't.
Comedy gold.
It gets pretty violent. And it's a lot of fun. So, I mean, I don't know. Just a lot of fun. It's super funny. But moving right along. Adrian, you're number 3.
Yes. I'm actually going to skip ahead because we already talked about Halo.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not on my list. So this is actually my number 2. So it'll end on you.
Oh.
Because we
That's
teamed
true.
up
Yeah,
on
we
it.
did. Yeah.
So my next one is my second to favorite game. Very close tie. But just edged out for some reasons. But my number 2 is It Takes Two.
Yes.
I played this game with my girlfriend Cassidy, and boy, is it a game about relationships. This game is very well designed. It must be played with 2 players, couch co-op. You literally sit next to someone, and it is very much designed to make you learn how to communicate better. And it's not like an educational game by design, like sit down and learn how to talk. It's like just completing the tasks brings you closer together in the game and in real life. It is literally one of the greatest achievements I think someone has done for co-op games in probably the last 2 decades, to be honest. I don't think couch co-op really is around very much anymore. Like you even look at the new Halo game, there is no co-op for the campaign. That was one of the biggest draws to the original Halo franchise, is that I could sit down with my buddies and play through Halo. You can't do that anymore. So a good couch co-op game like A Way Out or It Takes Two or Cuphead, like those are so rare now, and this one definitely takes the cake for co-op game for 2021. Absolutely an incredible game. If you have someone to play it with, go play it. It is really, really fun.
Awesome. Yeah, it's one of those games that, well, A, I don't have someone to play it with, so that sucks. But B, I hear so many good things about it.
Yeah, it's up for I think literally 60 awards or something.
Yeah, it was at the
crazy.
Game Awards tonight.
Yeah.
Which it won a couple things. I don't think it won anything super noteworthy, but still.
But for a co-op game from an indie studio to be winning pretty significant awards is pretty incredible.
Absolutely, 100%. Moving right along for my number 3, or this is my number 3, so I guess we're going to be a little bit different here. Is one of my favorite, if not my favorite, Netflix series of all time, which got its final season this year, which is Castlevania, a show that no one thought would legitimize video game entertainment, and just absolutely incredible. The fact that they take the story of Castlevania, which is at its core very basic, and expands it into this political and kind of like this just super, just well written, characters are well acted show, is just still a marvel to me, and I absolutely love it. It is so good. I highly recommend it to anyone that has a Netflix subscription. If you haven't watched it already, it is awesome.
Yeah, I've heard very, very good things about it.
Which, I mean, I talked about season 3 last year, so now that it's over, I don't know what I'm going to do. But they are doing a new season that's going to be coming up, I think, next year, that'll take place during the French Revolution. So that's going to be awesome.
Okay.
But moving on, I think this is your last one.
Well, I guess we're off, so I figured I could add one, because I can think of one off my head.
Sure.
So I'll just add one in. It's a video game, and it did not come out in 2021, but I feel that it has really impacted my life, and that is the Xbox edition of Uno.
Yes.
I have spent countless late nights with the crew playing Uno, just shooting the shit, talking about anything, literally just having the best time, laughing, +4ing each other. And I think it's really found its groove here in my life in 2021. And it is, just super impactful. Love games that bring friends together. And it's definitely one of those, for sure.
As the recipient of many of those +4s, I can attest that it is a very fun time.
I will say, it happened last night, I think, but you can stack +4s, and I got +12 last night. Let's not forget. It went all the way around.
Yep. I have, we played with stack rolls in real life, and the people I was playing with, someone got +16, because everyone had a +4.
And they had another one, and that means...
It was great. But let's go ahead and move on to my second to last pick. My next pick is an awesome show. Again, if you have Netflix, and that would be Midnight Mass, which, again, not typically a horror person or anything like that, but Mike Flanagan, who created Haunting of Hill House and Haunting of Bly Manor, gave us his new show this year that explored themes of religion and atheism and miracles and all this kind of things happening in a small town, and it's just absolutely incredible.
Very cool
I
show.
don't think I've teared up more than I have during a TV show, and a couple of those moments were really impactful, and just beautifully acted all around. Raul Coley especially, I think, was the highlight of the show for me.
Yeah.
Playing a Muslim police officer in a town of people who were mostly Catholic, so there's definitely a lot of conflict there. So, absolutely incredible show. If you have Netflix, please watch Midnight Mass. It is great.
Cool. I think my number one video game for the year, I think you probably know what this is because I pretty much said it like 2 nights ago. But this game and its prequel are genre defining to me, and the peak of excellence for this type of genre of game right now. And they are absolutely at the top of their game, and this was no exception. It absolutely topped the 7th game, and this 8th game was literally one of the best games I've ever played in my entire life. And I don't really like playing long-form games currently. I just find like I don't have the time or I don't have the interest level in them. And this was the first game in probably a couple years that I had like anxiously left work to be like, I gotta get home and play. And if you haven't figured it out yet, it is Resident Evil 8 Village. I am someone, I guess it's a rare breed, that I like to play horror games for fun. I don't get scared by them. I just find them really good, and really entertaining, and I love the craft that goes into them. And Resident Evil 8, literally, again, top tier. It just kept going. It was long. It had a ton of depth. The pacing was excellent. Just, if you can stomach it at all, if you can like bring yourself to play any type of scary game, this should be it, because you will have the greatest story in front of you. It is so good and so fun. And it is absolutely my number one for the year.
Awesome. You talk about this game all the time recently, and it's one of those things, like, I've never liked the franchise, but I've seen it played all the way through by some of the bigger YouTubers and some streamers that I've watched, and it looks fantastic. For one of the games that released on old gen and new gen systems, It looks incredible. I gotta mention it because it happened tonight. I am really mad that the voice actress for Dimitrescu won Best Performance this year. The only reason she won is a bunch of thirsty idiots online voted for her when Giancarlo Esposito from Far Cry 6 was way better, in my opinion. And she was only in the game for like 10% of it, but whatever.
I will say that I guess a small critique of the game is that it is very front loaded. I would say the castle with her performance it's very long. And then the rest of the game does start to happen very quickly. But again, it's not like it's short by any means. I think I logged like 15 hours. No, I think I logged like 30. I think it was like a 30-hour game.
Mm-hmm. Something like that.
Yeah, something like 30 to 40 hours. But I also logged that again. I haven't really been playing games. And I logged that in like a week and a half. Like, this game sucked me back into playing video games. And because it's over, I literally started downloading other horror games. I was like, I need another game to fill this void that this game used to fill. But seriously, if you can stomach it, or you feel like you want to try to, probably start with Biohazard, Resident Evil 7. They follow the exact same storyline. You play the same character. And Biohazard is incredible. And then Resident Evil 8 Village takes it to an absolutely insane level of masterful craft, and it's really, really cool to play through.
Awesome. Glad to hear it, because you always talk about it, so it's awesome to see it represented here. But moving on to my version of that, the thing that I cannot stop talking about. And I know Adrian already knows what I'm going to say, and I know I know he's very angry at me that I'm going to keep talking about it. But I don't watch a lot of TV shows. I'll be fair. But this year, there was a TV show that was released that I would consider the best TV show I have ever seen. Period. Like, end of story, period. It is the best TV show I've ever seen. And if at any time, any single one of you listens to a recommendation I make, please listen to this one. You will not be disappointed. And that is the Netflix series Arcane, which is based on League of Legends. Which Again, I do not play League of Legends. I hate the game, actually, because it's very toxic, and I don't like being called the gamer word just because I go to one different lane. But in terms of a show, it is brilliantly written. The visual storytelling is at a masterclass level. The voice acting is incredible all around. The music, the way that it blends its kind of orchestral soundtrack with its also more poppy soundtrack inclusions, is just brilliant. I never once in my entire life thought an animated show based on a video game that I have no care for would make me cry because of how emotional it gets. It is just pitch perfect every single time. Every episode makes the previous episode better, as a show should. It's contained into 3 arcs, 9 episodes. It's getting a season 2, thankfully. Also worth it to mention that it is the 14th highest rated TV show of all time. The only actual shows rated higher are The Sopranos, Game of Thrones, Breaking Bad, Avatar: The Last Airbender, and like all the Blue Planet, Earth or Planet Earth type things. Nothing rated higher than this, for a reason. It is absolutely incredible. And if you have not watched it, please, and this is me begging Adrian too, please watch it. I know you're getting really resistant because I talk about it so much, but...
No, I was actually going to say, I heard from one of Cassidy's cousins and a good friend of mine, Eric, and his girlfriend, Jules. She's not into that kind of show at all, and he was very hesitant. And he started watching it, and he stopped, went over to her house, and said, "You have to give this a shot." And by the time they got to the second episode, this person who does not like video games, never plays them, doesn't like animation, was like, "Well, hold on. Like, we got to keep watching." Like, I've heard nothing but amazing things about it. I probably will give it a shot. Just got to find the time, but I am really excited about it.
It's like one of those things, like, I know you're going to love it. But, like, you watch a lot more TV shows than I do, and I know you guys are in the middle of a bunch of different things.
Terrible, yeah.
But I mean, the problem is, I'll recommend it to you. You'll give it the first episode a shot, and then you won't be able to stop. So it'll put everything else on hold for those 9 episodes. It's absolutely incredible, and the soundtrack also was going to be on my list because of how good it is.
Okay.
But I did want to edge it out to give some other recognition to some other stuff. Sting is on the album. Which is incredible. He plays the last song of the show, an incredible emotional moment.
Wow.
My only critique, though, I will say, is that Imagine Dragons does the intro song for this, and like all Imagine Dragons songs, it is god-awful, and I don't like it. That's my only critique. Other than that, it is a perfect masterclass show, and I am excited we're getting a season 2. Hopefully it comes this coming year. Because if I could invent time travel and wait for the second season, I will watch it. And one more thing, actually, which I was talking to Cassidy about the other day. I'm struggling to watch any other TV show right now because of how good this one was.
I heard that, yeah.
Shows. Like, it's bad. I've already rewatched Arcane about 4 times because I literally cannot find anything else that I like that much.
Wow.
And it actually got me back into writing my book. I've restarted writing my fantasy book, like hardcore. Like I've written like 15 pages in the last 3 days.
It sparked it cut through your writer's block.
Oh, it absolutely did. So anyhow, enough of me ranting, because we'll see if anyone actually listens to me in the first place. But that's going to bring us to an end. Our favorite things of 2021. We love making these episodes. We love talking about the stuff outside of movies that we like to watch and like to listen to and do and go and all that kind of stuff. So let us know what you think. Check out our recommendations if you haven't already. Most of our stuff is very popular, so I'm sure you've probably checked it out. But, Adrian, if they don't listen to our recommendations but they still want to find us online, where can they do that?
The Drive Back Podcast everywhere. You can talk to us on Instagram. You can follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever podcasting app you use. And then if you want to watch us, you can find us right here on YouTube. This is where we post every Monday, which is all of our regular episodes. And every once in a while, we like to do an exclusive episode, just something different. If there's like a movie that we go to a midnight premiere or something like that, every once in a while, we'll put out an exclusive video here on YouTube. But go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, make sure you get notified when we post again every Monday. And then make sure to hit the like button so that that really helps us out. And then if you want to talk to us or give us a recommendation again, that's Instagram, and all of these are at the Drive Back Podcast.
That's absolutely right. Next week, we have a big one, the Drive Back Awards, where we'll be rewarding the best films of 2021, according to both of us. We each have our own nominees, we each have our own winners, and heck, we'll even be dressed up a little bit. Who saw that coming? But we look forward to that next week. We'll see you guys then. We love you so much. Thank you for watching. Thank you so much for listening. And we'll see you next time on The Drive Back. Thank you for listening to this episode of The Drive Back. Make sure to be on the lookout for new episodes every Monday, and make sure to follow us on social media.